Hello and welcome to our March update here at Revesby Estates Farm. Now, on the February update I commented on how little rain we'd actually had and how this could be an issue because the land drains weren't running yet, so we wasn't at field capacity. Well, that has soon been corrected because during March we have had 73.6 mil of rain. So it's been a really struggle to get much done during March. What that actually means is that is our joint wettest month within the last 12-month period. So we are now well topped up with moisture and we're all set to go. So we are just waiting for spring to arrive really. We've had a few glimpses of it. The lads have been getting on well on the farm as and when they can. So we're pretty much up to date with most of our jobs so far. The spring drilling campaign is just a little bit behind schedule. We just need a few more days of good dry weather and then hopefully we'll be back on schedule. So talking of spring, so when spring arrives the crops rapidly start growing, and one thing we do when they start growing is we do a bit of a health check on them just to see where they are, a bit like we can have a health check on ourselves, see what we might be lacking a little bit of. We do exactly the same with the crops, so let's take a look, shall we? So this here is a field of wheat, and what we can do when we're in this wheat is just collect some of the leaves off here, and then I can send these off and get them analysed. We get a tissue test done on them and it'll show us any trace elements, major macro, what this crop might be lacking in or what it might have plenty of, so we can prescribe then a nutrition program to make sure we've got a healthy, happy growing crop. So we walk the field, we collect a good sample of leaves and send them off to get analysed, and then once we do that we get this type of looking report back. So here we go, this is as you can see here, sample reference, that's actually field 23 we've got there. We can see it's wheat, and then these are our results here, and these are the guidelines where the crop should be. So we can see, for example, here nitrogen, we've got 4.55, we wanted 3, so we've got adequate levels. We will be quite high because we do put a lot of nitrogen on early onto our crops. So this will drop down more in line with the guidelines as the crop grows. You can see we get a green light, pretty much okay in here. Potassium's slightly low. Potassium normally always shows up as low with the way the crop utilises it and getting it in, but we have put some potassium on already, so hopefully that will correct itself. Boron here is low, so consider treatment. So when we go through this crop the next time, we're getting towards the T0 timing, we can put a little bit of boron in to try and bring this back up. We've got high iron. We don't worry about that because in wet conditions, yes, the crop isn't growing rapidly, so this will get diluted as the crop actually grows. This iron level will drop down lower and lower as the crop dilutes it within it, so we're not too concerned about that. And then we've got slightly low zinc, so again next time through we know we can pop a little bit of zinc on. So it just shows us here what the crop is lacking or might have too much of, so we can tailor any inputs accordingly to what the crop actually needs. So we do that type of report across a selection of the farm, across different crops. We don't do it on every field, we just rarely go by the soil types. When there's a change in soil type, we will do it from them, so it gives us an indication of what that crop might be lacking to make sure we can get a really good, healthy performing crop, because the healthier the crop is, the less we actually have to intervene with it. So like I said, we're getting towards what we call the T0 timing now. This is when the wheat starts going into its stem extension and really starts its rapid growth. So we have to start protecting this crop now from diseases, because as we start getting the warmer weathers coming in, we can start to get the disease building up in the crops. The main ones at the moment at sort of T0 is Septoria, but we can't really do a lot about that this early in the programme. Rust will be the major one, which we keep an eye on. Yellow rust might need a little bit of intervention, but majority of the varieties we've selected on the farm have some resistance to rust within them. So actually at the T0 timing, most of our crops will be just getting a trace element, depending on what we saw on them results there, and then some growth reg. What the growth reg does is here's two things it's really doing for us. At the early stage, it's manipulating the canopy, trying to get what we call tillers, which are, you get the main stem, and then the tillers are sort of secondary growth, if you like. So you get more ears out of the one seed, what you planted. We're trying to manipulate the tillers. We're trying to make the plant put more tillers on so we can get more ears per metre squared. And then the second thing it's doing is regulating the growth habit. So if we can stop it getting too high, so we don't get the what we call lodging when we get closer to harvest. As the ears develop on these crops and get heavier, it can lean over, brackle over, fall over. If you get wet soils as well and it's got too much weight, it can pull the roots out of the ground. So we just need to keep the straw length down as much as we can. We chop all our straw back into the ground as well, so we just want to regulate the height of that straw so we're not getting too much through the machines. So that's really what we're looking at the T0 basis. We'll also be walking these crops and just checking where we are with the weed pressures as well. Hopefully they are pretty much well under control. We will get things like cleavers growing in the spring, and we do get wild and tame oats as well. So there'll be some things we're looking for as we're growing through these crops, and we will probably, depending on how many we find, have to pop something in the tank to just control those and get them out of the way. So that's really what we're up to at the moment. As we move into April, like I say, it's really starting to look at these sort of crop protection programs, get the rest of the spring drilling in. We've got our sugar beet to get in the ground, and yes, let's hope for everyone we start to see some good spring conditions. Okay, we will see you again for the April update.